Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for being here and watching me. We are here to delve into a pivotal chapter of Spanish history, one that continues to resonate through the cultural and demographic fabric of the nation, the era of Francisco Franco's rule. Franco's regime, marked by its Catholic nationalism, not only shaped the political landscape of Spain, but also left an undeniable mark on its people and identity. In the next 10 minutes, we will synthesize the main aspects of this historical narrative, which is a very complex one, examining the intertwining of politics, culture, and the economic and social threads that compose the tapestry of Franco's Spain. We'll explore the overreaching policies of Franco's regime, the economic dichotomies it fostered, the cultural shifts it precipitated, and the lasting effects on Spain's national identity. Let's start with a brief historical backdrop in order to understand a little bit the historical context. In order to do that, and in order to understand the profound impact of Franco's rule, we must first consider the backdrop against which it arose. A Spain torn by civil war, seeking stability, yet finding itself in the grip of an authoritarian regime. The significance of this study lies in unraveling how a regime rooted in the principles of Catholic nationalism could influence a nation's cultural ethos and demographic structure, leaving a legacy that would challenge and shape Spain's path long after the regime's end. Moving forward, it is important to mention that Francisco Franco, known as El Caudillo, emerged as the ruler of Spain after a brutal civil war. His regime, which lasted from 1939 until his death in 1975, was characterized by authoritarianism, nationalism, and conservatism. Franco's Spain was marked by a strong central government, suppression of opposition, and an emphasis on traditional Spanish Catholic values. The regime can be broadly categorized into three phases: post-Civil War consolidation of power, the era of autarky and isolation, and the later years of opening and modernization. Initially, the regime focused on national reconstruction and retribution against the defeated republicans, leading to widespread repression. Economically, the regime initially adopted autarkic policies, aiming for self-sufficiency, which resulted in economic stagnation and hardship for the Spanish people. The periodization of Franco's rule is essential to understand the evolution of his policies and their impact on Spain. Therefore, from the 1940s to the 1950s, Spain was internationally isolated, with the United Nations even enacting sanctions against the regime for its fascist origins. The 1960s and early 1970s saw a shift as Franco's attempt to modernize the economy, leading to a significant industrial growth and a gradual opening to foreign investment and tourism. It is also important to mention that at an international level, Spain found itself isolated. Spain's international isolation under Franco had profound implications. It delayed economic development, and it kept Spain out of the Marshall Plan and its subsequent aid post the Second World War. This isolation was both self-imposed and external, as Franco's alignment with Axis powers during the Second World War led to a cold reception from the Allied nations. However, this period also fostered a sense of national unity and identity, albeit one that was heavily controlled and manipulated by the state's propaganda. Moving to the economic aspects of Franco's dictatorship, we are going to talk about economic policies of Franco's Spain. Franco's economic policies were initially centered around autarky, the belief in self-sufficiency without reliance on international trade. This approach led to rationing, black markets, and a stagnant economy in the post-war period. However, by the late 1950s, the regime shifted towards a more liberal economic model, leading to the Spanish miracle, a period of rapid industrialization and economic growth. Regarding prosperity imbalance, it is important to mention that despite economic growth, the benefits were not evenly distributed, leading to what some historians refer to as prosperity imbalance. While some urban and industrial areas saw significant improvements in living standards, rural areas lagged behind, exacerbating regional disparities. The economic expansion also led to inflation, which eroded savings and impacted the cost of living, affecting the working and the middle classes. Historians José Luis Comellas described the 1950s as the happy 50s, highlighting the period's economic expansion and the rise in living standards for many Spaniards. In contrast, José Nieto views the era as one of economic crisis, with the state's bankruptcy seemingly inevitable due to the regime's policies. Comellas argues that the inflation of the era discouraged savings and led to increased consumer spending, while Nieto criticizes the regime's economic doctrine as the cause of the economic disaster. Moving forward to economic development challenges, I would like to put under the limelight the fact that the regime faced a significant challenge in economic development, including modernizing infrastructure, attracting foreign investments, and transitioning from an agrarian to an industrial economy. The Spanish miracle was thus a period of both growth and growing pains, setting the stage for future economic reforms and transitions. Franco's regime was deeply intertwined with Catholic nationalism, which sought to infuse all aspects of Spanish life with religious values. This influence was evident in censorship policies, the education system, and the suppression of regional cultures and languages in favor of a unified Spanish identity. The Church was a key ally of the state, playing a significant role in social services and serving as a moral compass for the nation. Despite the regime's authoritarian nature, the 1960s saw a gradual relaxation in social life. The government promoted sports, especially football, as a means of fostering national pride and unity. Major victories in international football became a source of collective joy and distraction. Entertainment, including music and cinema, began to reflect a blend of traditional values and modern influences, albeit within the boundaries set by the state and by state censorship. Franco Spain experienced a complex interplay of cultural preservation and suppression. While the regime promoted certain traditional Spanish customs, it also sought to assimilate diverse regional identities into a singular nation and national narrative. Demographically, the period saw internal migrations from rural to urban areas, driven by economic changes which altered the social landscape of the country. Historically, Spain has been a crossroads of cultures, from the Romans to the Moors, each leaving an indelible mark on the nation's heritage. Franco's regime selectively embraced this legacy, emphasizing the Catholic and monarchist elements while downplaying or even rejecting others, particularly those associated with the Republican side of the Civil War. This selective cultural narrative shaped the identity of a generation, leaving a legacy of complexity that modern Spain continues to navigate. Franco Spain is a study in contrasts. Significant economic progresses were really achieved, yet it failed to evolve into a lasting, inclusive political system. The regime's legacy is marred by its authoritarian nature, human rights abuses, and suppression of political freedoms. Despite economic strides, the regime's centralization of power and lack of political pluralism left Spain with a fragile foundation for future governance. Following Francisco Franco's death in 1975, Spain embarked on a complex transition from dictatorship to democracy, known as the Spanish Transition. This period saw the legalization of political parties, the drafting of a new constitution, and the establishment of a parliamentary monarchy. Economic growth in the preceding decades played a crucial role in this transition, providing a buffer against social unrest and reducing the impetus for revenge against the former regime. Today, Spain grapples with the legacy of Franco's rule, balancing respect for its history with the need to address past injustice. The economic and cultural policies of the regime have left a lasting imprint on the nation's identity, infrastructure, and position in the global arena. So, in conclusion, the era of Franco's rule was one of multifaceted reality, marked by economic development, cultural shifts, and political repression. The transition to democracy was a testament to the resilience of the Spanish people and the transformative power of economic growth. Franco's legacy remains a complex and often contentious part of Spain's history, reflecting enduring challenges of reconciling a nation's past with its present and future. Thank you for embarking on this historical journey with me today. As we close the pages of this presentation, I invite you to join me in anticipation for the publication of my full chapter, where we'll unfold even more layers of Spain's vibrant tapestry under Franco's shadow. Your presence and engagement have been the most enriching dialogue, and I am waiting for your comments down below. And I'm looking forward to continuing our conversation within the pages of my upcoming work. Thank you very much.